Good evening, everyone. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Hello, everyone. My name is Barry Lee Cohen, and I'm with the Amity Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Board of Directors, see that? It happened. One second. See what happens.
Oh, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Don't know why. Sorry about that. On behalf of the Board of Directors and on behalf of all the membership, 150 members of the Amity Chamber of Commerce, we welcome you this evening. Before we begin, I'd like to, I'm just going to keep talking. Before we begin, I want to make sure that we all thank the University of New Haven that basically provided us this venue this evening. I'd also like to thank most especially OGAT, who's here basically taping for us live on the YouTube channel, which is now being live streamed. We thank everyone here for also attending. We know it's a part of your evening, a part of your week, and we can't thank you enough. And we have well over what we expected, which is a great thing. And what we're going to do first is I'm going to just introduce each of the candidates, and feel free to applause after each one of them. First of all, having spent much of his childhood in Orange, Mr. Fitzmaurice and his wife began raising their two children here in 2014, and he now serves as the Director of Advocacy of the United Way of Connecticut, following earlier work as a nonprofit executive and teacher. Mr. Fitzmaurice. Who are you? For 24 years, Mr. Zioli worked as a school bus contractor providing transportation for our children, retired from the Orange Volunteer Fire Department after 23 years of service, served as a board member of the Orange Economic Development Corporation, and was elected first selectman in 2005 as he currently serves. Jim Zioli. Okay. I want everyone to know that both candidates, we thank them both for accepting tonight's invitation. We also thank them for reviewing and accepting the following rules of this debate. And again, we are just so excited to have them both here to allow us to hear the issues, to hear their perspective of them, and how they're going to create value for Orange in the next 2 years. But this is the basic monarch notes of the rules, okay? Candidates should be allowed to answer questions posed to them by the moderator in their entirety without interruption until their time has elapsed. Candidates should also refrain from asking questions to the other candidate. The moderator will ask all the questions. Candidates should remain within 4 feet of their table. Candidates should be respectful to each other, the moderator and the audience. Candidates should not make unsubstantiated or unmisleading claims or allegations. Candidates should be truthful and not introduce misinformation or untruths. Candidates should remain seated when the other candidate is addressing the initial question. Candidates can return to their seats or remain standing during rebuttals and redirects. Audience members, we have rules for you too. We're asked to please be respectful and not interrupt the proceedings, and to please turn their cell phones off to silent, please. The moderator will reserve the right to remove, and so I'm not going to remove anybody. Next one, okay. I'm too small and fragile. Okay. Next one. Candidates will be given the choice to bring pre-prepared remarks or answer questions off the cuff, and they'll do a combination of both. And as you can see, we've given them a table and chair to stand or sit as they will choose when they address the question, whatever they feel more comfortable with. Now, before these proceedings started this evening, we did a coin toss to see, who was going to go first or whatever with opening comments. And Mr. Fitzmaurice won the coin toss, and he has decided to make the opening statement second and the closing statement first. So with that, I am now going to direct myself to Mr. Zioli to please give his opening statement. 4 minutes.
Before you start, Barry, you told me to watch for the green light, and all I got is red.
Hello, it's working.
Where's the green light?
I have no idea.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for coming out. This is really quite an honor for Dan and I to get to speak to all of you here and all of those that are going to be watching by way of Chris Kelly and OGAT. The University of New Haven allowing us to be here is really quite a privilege. I haven't been in this building since they bought this building, which was when we were buying the 276 acres or so next to it. However, this is going to be on the market if you know anybody in the corporate headquarters world or something that might be interested. It's a beautiful space on about 45 acres. But the town of Orange, obviously I think all of you know, is a very near and dear place to my heart. I will be 66 next week, and I've lived here my entire life. I've served on multiple boards and commissions. Barry named a couple with the fire department and OGAT, but I've been with the fair since it started. We were on state commissions. I was the chairman of the State Farmland Preservation Advisory Board with a $65 million budget for 10 years. I sat on a police advocacy for education board up in Hartford, and several others up there and through the town, but it's very important that you work your way up and you're involved with your town and you know your town. I think that I have known this town almost better than most, I have to say. I don't know if there's too many who can pass that, but I'm very proud to be your first selectman. Oh, there it goes. And will continue to be your first selectman. So thank you everybody for attending, and I look forward to this debate.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much to the Amity Chamber of Commerce for hosting us tonight. I didn't know if it would just be the three of us or a full room, and it's a full room for folks who are watching at home. My name is Dan Fitzmaurice, and I'm so excited and really very honored to be running to become Orange's next first selectman. My wife and I have called Orange home for about 11 years. We moved here to raise our kids, who are over in the corner. Jude is 13 and Mabel is 10. And we absolutely love living here. We chose to live in a small town like Orange. We love the schools. We love the open space. We love supporting our community. And that's why it's really important to me to start tonight by thanking Mr. Zioli. 20 years and more of service to our town is remarkable, and I appreciate all of your time and commitment you've given to our community. But tonight I'm going to focus much more of my time on talking about the future. Stability without progress is not enough anymore in 2025. I believe that the future of our community should actually be even stronger than the past. That's why I'm so focused on something I've heard so much about from so many voters in our community and residents in our community for many years, which is that the price of property taxes for homeowners keeps going up and up and up, but the services we're getting in return are not improving at the same time. So my plan is to do something very simple. I'm committed to stabilizing the property taxes and making sure we're delivering results in our town services that matter to our community. And I firmly believe we could do those things at the same time. We put out 4 priorities to do that, and I'm really looking forward to talking about those ideas with everybody here tonight. I want you to know that I'm ready to do this job. Every step in my career has prepared me for this opportunity. I've been a nonprofit executive for most of my career. And what that means is I've been called in, many times recruited, to lead nonprofit organizations when they needed help. In fact, many times they had extreme challenges that I was invited to help solve for. Sometimes the budget challenges, sometimes there were staffing challenges, sometimes it was mission issues to make sure they were changing enough to deliver results for their communities. Right now, I'm the Director of Advocacy at the United Way of Connecticut. What that means is I work with state and federal lawmakers to make sure that families, hardworking families, are making ends meet and getting ahead. You might not realize this, but actually 21% of households in our community are only living paycheck to paycheck. So again, my commitment to solving this issue around affordability in Orange comes deep within my soul. I also was a teacher. long before I started all of this, so I also understand how important our schools are to the life of our community. Resume aside, I really want to emphasize tonight how much values are at the center of my leadership. I've always been #1 value of service throughout all the stages of my career. And in order to serve this community the way I would like to, I want you to know what that means. I'll always listen to everybody in this community and take their ideas and concerns seriously. I'll always be transparent and open about decisions I'm making and opportunities that are facing our community. And I'll always respect every single person in our community. So I'm really excited to roll up my sleeves, talk about these ideas with you tonight. But if you've seen some of our lawn signs around town, one of them says, "Less talk, more do." That is really my biggest commitment to you. I'm a very hard worker, looking forward to serving you as your next first selectman.
Before we move on to the next question.
Do we have one working mic there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we move on to the next question, Kara, if you are around, we could sure use some audiovisual help, some sound help. But also, I would be remiss if I did not introduce the timekeeper for this evening, the one you can blame if you think that we went over the time. She's a senior at Hopkins School. She's an Orange resident, and this is Ilona Spiewak.
Now it's green, no, that's right.
But it's working.
It's just not working. It's just not working where we want it to work. I'm just going to speak from here because I have a big mouth and you can all just hear me from the heavens. Okay. What we are going to do next is this particular segment of the meeting, of the questioning. I want to write down the time. Honest, is going to be candidate A, which we will make Mr. Zioli, is up to a 3-minute response, followed by a 3-minute response by Mr. Fitzmaurice, okay? After that, if either of you guys want to rebut or redirect or respond, just raise your hand to me and we'll give you an extra minute back and forth, okay? So this first question, we're going to start with Mr. Zioli addressing it, and then the next time we'll start the next question with Mr. Fitzmaurice addressing it, okay? All right. This particular debate are centered around a lot, being that we are the Chamber of Commerce, about top priorities, economic development, town finances, taxes, spending, business friendliness and readiness, and public engagement. Those are the types of questions that we are soliciting, and we got many of them, and we thank you for that, okay? So with that in mind, the first question that we have for this evening, and we'll direct it to Mr. Zioli first, is top priority. On day one, what is your absolute top priority upon taking office and why? And then what are your next top 2 key initiatives you plan to work on? And if you have any type of plan for success in any of those, let's talk about that. So, Mr. Zioli.
There are actually two or three things that need to continue. Since I'm already sitting in the chair, they're continuations for me. I think that many people, while you talk about economic development, don't realize how much economic development has been done since I took office. And most recently, which took almost 3+ years to finalize the deal, is the Noble Gas, where they tore down the National Wholesale Florist right by exit 41 off of 95. That's a 3.5 acre site, a 4 acre site that just sold from the Halepis family for $3.5 million. And now Noble Gas, Mike Frisbee, is remodeling that site into something new and much better that will generate a far more tax base than was there. Right across the street, some people don't even know it's there. I'll try that one. Don't even know it's there. At the end of Salemi Lane, Cynthia Salemi had inherited from her father the old family home and extra land with it, and we were able to work with zoning and the developer from Georgia for a self-storage facility up at the end of that street, which is paying far more than a vacant piece of land and a dilapidated house that stood there. Many of you don't know that Aurora Products, which is on Edison Road, they moved here from Lordship. We had a lobby with Lordship, which is part of Stratford, to get them to move here. And they bought the building that was Finley Jewelry, which originally was Burndy Electric, and they've added on to it twice. They've maxed out the site at over 180,000 square feet on that 12-acre site. And Stephanie, who owns that company, Blackwell, does a great job with that. They're the largest user of cranberries in the United States, other than Ocean Spray, believe it or not, right here in Orange. That was one that I also worked very hard with Anne Marie to bring to town. Tractor Supply, where Capsulatros stood, that was one that we lobbied for, but they don't happen overnight. There's some people seem to think that you can expedite things. When United Illuminating wanted to come here, there were 13 pre-submission meetings for the operations center and for the corporate headquarters. When they did apply to zoning and all for their official meetings, there were 2 meetings to approve the operations center and 2 meetings to approve their corporate headquarters. But it happened with 13 pre-submission meetings that economic development, myself, and all of the department heads that meet there. The fire marshal's in the room tonight, and he knows that. And did you say that was the end?
30 seconds.
Oh, and we plan to continue with that. The bigger challenge is we're running out of some of those sizable parcels to fit some of the bigger users on. And a perfect example of that is 7 Brew Coffee, which just fit on the corner of Bull Hill Lane and the Post Road there where the old Nicoletti's Market was, and then it was Subway after that. So I think I'm probably...
You're all set.
Thanks for those great questions, Mr. Cohen. This is something I've talked about again and again around our community because it addresses a concern I'm hearing again and again in our community, which is that the prices of the homeowners' property taxes keeps rising and rising. And again, that's my promise I already said, which is that we're going to make sure that we can stabilize property taxes, but still invest in what matters to our community. And many people have said, how is that possible? It seems contradictory. So on my first day, Mr. Cohen, I would definitely begin by starting to create an economic development department within our local government, which we do not have currently. To me, this is a critical step because, on the one hand, they will deliver incredibly strong growth in the commercial development, not in our neighborhoods, but on the Post Road and Edison Road, where it makes sense, where we can have smart growth, because that commercial development raises tax revenue that we don't have to ask from homeowners. That department would also be tasked with applying for grants. There are an incredible amount of state and federal grants that a nonprofit organization is not eligible to receive. Like I said, I've run nonprofit organizations for most of my career, and I've always valued having a strong partner in town hall where we could collaborate to make sure that we're receiving all the grant dollars necessary to help our communities thrive. That's the way I see our relationship with the Amity Chamber and with the Orange Economic Development Corporation. Put this all together, that's going to bring in revenue so we could pay for some of the things that are necessary that I've heard from community members over and over again. So 2 of those things that I could do very quickly: establish Orange Connect, which is a 311 see-click fix system, which we just have to turn on our website, so it's much simpler to make requests to Town Hall, watch them get done behind the scenes, and you know that it was delivered. And similarly, I'll very quickly work with the folks on the budget and finance team to make sure we're putting the bond together so we could finally start the first phase of renovations at Fred Wolf Park, because that should be one of the gems of our community for everyone to enjoy.
Thank you. Jim, did you want to redirect? Go right ahead.
Yeah. What Dan might not know is Edison Road used to be a dead-end road that came in off of Prindle Hill. It was on the books from 1962 until the economic development director at that time was Paul Grimmer, and myself, with state and federal money and assistance of Rosa DeLauro, completed that road out to Marsh Hill. There's only one piece of land left on there that isn't developed, and it's owned by Pez, and they actually are submitting plans, I think, right now for an expansion there, which is the reason they chose not to sell it. Also, the Inc. People behind it, Sean Liu rather, he wanted to buy that piece. He built the building that's in back of it. They're a commercial industrial ink manufacturer. There's only one parcel left there. That's the problem. We don't have the amount of commercial industrial land that you think. And when we bonded, the last bonding we did, we refinanced bonds when we bought Raceburg Country Club. The bonds that we refinanced at 0.99%. Raceburg Country Club is at 2.04%, which is still a bargain, but it was a higher rate because it's a taxable bond, because it was a business investment of the town of Orange. Currently, they're running at 3.5 to 4.5%, the bonds. We're not bonding at 4.5% for many $1 million. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. I just want to clarify a couple of things, and I've talked about this with a lot of folks because it is hard to understand some of this stuff. I recognize that, but our commercial vacancy rate has doubled in the last couple of years. And one of the best projects, Mr. Zierli, you have helped get done in our community is the Firelight Plaza. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. There are many parcels and buildings on our post road that are no longer very valuable. They were built when I was a kid. And we need to bring in commercial developers, bring in the emerging industries that are booming around our region, and invite them to Orange, aggressively recruit them so that they can see new vision and new promise about what's possible in our commercial corridors. And again, I'm not suggesting this idea for the sake of it. I'm not suggesting any change for the sake of change. But I'm willing to do the hard work and roll up my sleeves to make improvements to our community so that more families can enjoy living here.
Thank you. One more redirect, or are we set on that one?
Well, I guess I should probably, I don't know how many of you know it, but I brought my notes with me just because there's many things that I knew would come up tonight. Do you know the total square footage of retail, office, and industrial in the town of Orange is 6,600,000 square feet? The vacancies that Dan refers to is a 5% vacancy. Actually, it's 4.9 as of today in the retail. It's 1.89 in the office space, and it's 4.5%. 4.5% of 288,000 industrial square feet. Our vacancies are not what is being portrayed. We don't have the vacancies that you appear. The problem is you see Christmas tree shops and you think that everything is vacant. It's not as vacant as you think. Look how hard it was to find headquarters, although you guys went to the same spot you've been in. But there is no vacancies. There aren't the vacancies that he portrays.
Okay, thank you. You get one last response back to that? Back and forth? No, you don't have to? No. Okay, fair enough. Then we're going to drill down a little bit deeper on that last one. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
No, hit the switch. The switch on the side.
Here, you want this one back?
Oh, don't be so clever.
Here, this one has a green light. Don't use the red light.
I'm not gonna go there. Okay. We're gonna dig a little deeper on that one. I'm gonna have a pointed question to you and a pointed question to Mr. Zierli, and then you'll both be mad at me. Mr. Fitzmaurice, adding another department means adding more headcount to town hall. Doesn't this result in more spending? Isn't the status quo working?
Barry, I appreciate your pointed question. And again, I do not believe that adding one position to our town hall to start this new economic development department is adding too much bureaucracy. In fact, it's one of the things that many of our neighboring towns have done over these last 20 years, because economic development has become a professional field, it's become incredibly competitive, and we need to pull out all the stops. And so let me just clarify one thing related to this question, Mr. Cohen. Like I said, been running nonprofits for much of my career. I understand what it takes to run a nonprofit organization, how hard people work to run them. That includes the Amity Chamber of Commerce, that includes the Orange Economic Development Corporation. But I also understand how important it is to have a partner in Town Hall who is rowing in your direction and guiding that strategy with you. Very important work. And again, I want to make it very clear to everyone tonight, that is going to more than pay for itself when they bring in new grants, when they help move commercial projects along faster. I wouldn't think of it as a cost, I would think of it as an investment. And that's an investment that is going to make sure we can fund our schools, pay for things that are necessary without always sending the bill to you all as homeowners. What I'm doing in this proposal is making a solution. And I think it's okay and necessary to talk about our future with solutions in mind. That is what I've done my entire career. And I'll just give one example just to illustrate what I mean and how I know I can get it done. When I arrived at the Arts Council of Greater New Haven, I'm sad to say that they were in a very hard financial situation. We had to work in a very quick 1-year time frame with our strategy to rebuild the financial strength of the organization. And I'm so glad we did, because over the COVID-19 pandemic, we were ready. And we raised more than $1 million to make sure the businesses and nonprofit organizations in our region were able to navigate that challenging time. And I really believe I am prepared to do a similar type of project within our town hall and collaboratively with everyone to move our economic development aggressively forward. And one more thing about that. I've also heard a concern about who is going to make decisions around things like this. And I want to make it clear that as a community, we get to decide what the vision is for economic development in our town. We should have those conversations. I've been hosting open town hall forums. Everybody has my phone number now. We have normal commissions and processes in town hall where I want to hear from you over these next 2 years about what types of businesses do you want to see on the post road? What types of projects do you think we could get done? And let me connect you to the right grant opportunities so we could pay for them. So the vision for this work I'm proposing is within our hands. The strategy is within a department within town hall with great partnerships with our nonprofits in the community.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't care. Thank you.
And I'm going to give you, and Jim, here's your question, and I'll hand off the phone. Over the last 2 years, the town has witnessed supposedly or perceived business foreclosures and vacancies on the post road and lots of new sushi restaurants. If re-elected, what are you or what will you be doing differently in your next term to attract, maintain, and grow commercial development in Orange?
First off, I have to think about what Dan just said about properties. There are some properties on the post road and other areas that are old and some are worn, but they are owned by private property owners. We don't own them, and we don't have the authority to take their properties and invite in a developer for a property that's not for sale. If it's for sale, anybody can look at it. But we have property owners that their properties are not for sale. But Dan thinks evidently that you can just tell people they have to sell their property to a new developer to update it. And that's not the way it's going to be, unfortunately. We are known as the Asian food market of the area. People actually come here to try all the different places. I personally don't see how they can all make it. We have lobbied for more Italian food. We have lobbied for steak and potato food. We have all the things that you would like. But unfortunately, that's what we keep getting. Anne Marie has talked with the TGI Friday people, and she has told them that we're trying to find something else. And they said, geez, we're already being approached by a couple Asian users for that. And when I put that up there one night on Facebook on one of the responses, and Dan said, well, I certainly hope we're not going to get any more Asian food. Most of those Asian restaurants are run by immigrant families that work really hard, and that's their opportunity for a better life. So I think to kind of thumb your nose at anybody who's working hard to make a living and try to do better for their family, Asian or otherwise, is a little bit insulting. But I'm going to do something that I said I wasn't going to do, but I am going to do it right now. I would like to ask the Economic Development Director, Anne-Marie Sleiby, to step up here and wave at you, just so you people know. We have an Economic Development Director, and she's here today. So to say that we don't have an Economic Development Department or a director, she and Mary are in the office every day. She's on track with this stuff every day. She and I converse every day. So to say she's not here, the town of Orange pays $100,000 towards that department. So to say we don't have it is downright insulting, disingenuous, insulting to her and her staff. They exist. That's the person right there. Thank you.
Okay,
Is it on the same question?
yeah, it's a redirect, so we have 1 minute to respond.
Okay, well, I'll just respond briefly then. Mr. Cohen, I think there are a bunch of ideas I would share with Anne Marie or with Barry or with the new economic development director that works for you as residents within the town government to make sure that our economic development is moving forward. One of those things is absolutely to make sure that all of our local entrepreneurs, all of our local small businesses know that we're there to support them. That's something I've done throughout my career, is making sure nonprofit organizations, for-profit businesses, small companies know that Orange is open for business and I want to help you. And all three of these entities want to help you thrive in this community, perhaps grow in this community. We should be seeing our local businesses multiplying over the years thanks to our help. One of the ways to do that I've done many times in my career is connecting them to existing resources like the Small Business Association and other grants that are available that many small businesses and entrepreneurs don't know about. Happy to do that work. It's definitely something I've done in my career.
Jim, redirect? No? Okay.
At the person, it really does exist, whether you like it or not, she's here. That person's already paid for it. We're not creating another person to pay for it. Tax and spend, I guess? No, not gonna work. What some of you don't know is the state has another new program coming out, and we have 2 businesses in the community looking into that to revitalize and revamp their buildings and their business. Now, however, at this time, since it's still under wraps, they're working on it, and they've been working on it with Anne Marie through DECD. So, you know, we do those things. There's grants and all already. Like I said before, Edison Road was built with money that we got through Rosa DeLauro and the federal government in the omnibus bill. In order to do that, to complete it all the way out to Marsh Hill. And then that allowed FedEx trucking terminal to go in on one spot, Aurora Food Products to go in on another spot, New Met Manufacturing that manufactures for the aeronautical built on another spot, the ink company built on another spot. The VA, I worked with Dick Blumenthal, 6 years that it took working with Dick Blumenthal and the government to get that VA outpatient services facility up there, and it's owned by a private developer, so it's not tax exempt, it's taxable.
Thank you, Jim.
And that was all very hard done.
Okay, my microphone works. Okay, we're going to move on now to town finances, spending, and taxes. And here's the question, and this question will go first to Mr. Fitzmaurice. Make sure I had that right. Okay. Orange has a AAA bond rating. Can you both explain what steps you would take to protect taxpayers and ensure our town doesn't jeopardize that rating? What specific line, and as part of that, what specific line items in the budget would you cut or reallocate to pay for any new or expanded programs you may be considering to propose without raising property taxes? Mr. Fitzmaurice, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. It is important that everybody understands that our town is in excellent fiscal shape. We have a AAA bond rating, we have a full rainy day fund, we underspend most of our department budgets on a consistent basis every single year. And that is something I'm committed to maintaining. It is something that I have built in nonprofit organizations that I have led for a number of years. That said, we have to leverage that stability to make progress. We can't just stand still and look at how excellent our credit score is. One other thing to point out, because I have proposed that we use a reasonable amount of bonding to make some needed improvements around our town. 1 in 5 towns in Connecticut has a AAA bond rating. And what that means is like we have an excellent credit score. And if you visited Fred Wolf Park recently and tried to park in the parking area, you know that there's a little bit of work that needs to be done. We're about to have a new master plan for Fred Wolf Park, which is going to be an awesome opportunity to bring in grants. But I've committed myself in the first budget to using a very small bond to leverage our excellent credit rating to pave that parking area and make a road around the park. That's the first phase of the plan. And that's going to make the park accessible for everybody, not just kids, for everybody in our community to benefit from an amazing recreational facility that we'll leverage outside dollars for. The other thing, we put together 4 full priorities, and so we did scrub the budget. I personally scrubbed the budget to see, like I mentioned, most of our departments do not spend their full budget. So when we proposed $200,000 of new spending, that's actually 0.25%. 0.25% of our $86 million budget. I think most folks, when I talk about this, they are surprised to hear that our town has an $86 million budget. One more thing, I'm going to go back to grants for a second, because again, I want to make it very clear, we are leaving money on the table. As a nonprofit leader, I've been tasked with applying for grants. It's as simple as having a plan, filling out an application, getting community support. Those grants would be very strong if the Chamber of Commerce and the Orange Economic Development Department signed on to those grants too, and many other nonprofit and community groups who would probably join us in saying, this project is a good idea, and I want to see it done in Orange. I actually leveraged recently a $250,000 grant to help an organization in New Haven. The money is out there. In fact, it's our tax money. Your state tax dollars stay in Hartford unless we bring them back to Orange. So those are 3 ways I'm committed to making sure we can make the spending investments that we've suggested without raising property taxes.
Thank you. And Jim, it's the same question. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Well, the first one is the parking that Dan wants to pave at Wolf Park. Had you ever dealt with Paula Kohlberg from the Army Corps of Engineers out of Massachusetts, you would know that, number one, if we were going to pave that parking area, there's a very large detention basin, and that has to be part of it, which you will lose that lower piece of parking down by the wood chips for the detention basin, because just beyond that is the wetlands, and you can't build the detention basin in the wetlands, but you can build it next to it and slowly seep it into it. So that's why that isn't paved. I think that we use and achieve a lot of grants, both in the schools, both in the town. Right now, some of you are going to be disrupted who use the library. They're going to be milling the library in the OVNA parking lots and the parking lot behind High Plains and the road that goes down on the side of High Plains as far as the cell tower on Columbus Day. And then they will be paved approximately, Mother Nature willing, a week to 10 days later. All done with grant money from the state is the most recent grant that we're getting. But a lot of the work that has been done with grants. That playground at Wolf Park was a $500,000 grant. There's road work that's been done on Lambert Road, and they're going to be putting in some new guardrail and all, where some of those old wood posts and all being done with grant money. So whether you're talking about the town of Orange receiving the grants, the school system receiving the grants, the fire department has received grants, the fire marshal's office has received grants. I don't know how many of you have taken up and gotten those smoke detectors installed in your house by the fire marshal's department. Those were a gift to us. They didn't go out and buy them. Our fire marshals achieve grants to do that, to keep you safe. Those are all grants. We are achieving grants. To make it sound, again, like we don't apply for grants is another thing that's just not factually correct. But when you don't know the facts, it sounds good. So, unfortunately, that's the best we can do. We work at it every day, and people don't understand what we do. And it's stuff, I heard him talk about it's up to you to decide what goes in what building. Well, then how many of you are running for zoning in this room? Raise your hands. We don't need you. Evidently, the general public is going to decide, so we don't need a zoning board. That's why you're elected. Look what Woodbridge is going through right now. They're up in arms, and they want to put in for an elected zoning commission because of a big apartment building over there. We have an outstanding town and departments and commissions, and if you think we don't, I'm sorry, but I think that our boards and commissions do an outstanding job.
Thank you. You both answered the questions, and now I'm going to ask, would you like a redirect?
Yes, please.
1 minute, please.
Thanks. So just a couple of ideas regarding how to achieve our priorities without excess spending. I just want to share this fun one that we've been talking about recently, because we do have so many incredible agricultural businesses, farms, people who make homemade products in their community. I've been wondering why we don't have an orange farm trail. You know, the state of Connecticut is doing an incredible amount of economic development with things like the pizza trail and the art trail. I think that is a no-cost solution that we could all come together as a community around and get that published so that residents and visitors alike can explore and support all of our farms and small businesses. To me, that is the way we make sure that our past is still celebrated and recognized and really brought into 2025.
And Jim, did you have a redirect?
That one's kind of interesting for me. I've been accused.
Thank you.
I've been accused of having 2 full-time jobs, but what some people don't understand is I do have a full-time job. It's the first selectman of the town of Orange. The farm is a life. I have been on that farm for my life. It is a lifestyle, and it shall remain that long after I'm first selectman. It is something that we do. As far as a farm trail, I will guarantee you that trail, if it's published by other than my side, it'll take a turn and it won't go around Tyler City Lambert Road. Because it just, you can huff and puff all you want, but I can guarantee you that it won't. And so I hope you do support the farmers in town because they can use it. I have a boy coming along who's worked very hard right now. He's worked incredibly hard to make a success of what he does. So I think I'm pretty well versed on the agricultural community of the town of Orange.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to now move on to the topic of business friendliness and readiness. And by the way, these topics, both candidates were told what the topics were and so forth, so these are like no surprises in terms of the categories, okay? Business friendliness and readiness, and here's the question, and this first goes to Jim, and again, there's 3 minutes. Are we easy to do business with, or as our next or as our current first selectman, what would we do differently to continue to do so? For instance, reduce delays and eliminate bottlenecks, increase efficiency and execution, reinforce, implement best practices.
I think Orange has gotten much easier to do business in for new development, new improvements. If it's a whole new project, we have a process with pre-submission meetings where all the department heads, the fire marshal, the police, the building department, the sanitarians, all that may be involved. Anne Marie arranges that. They meet downstairs in the town hall as needed, and they do and advise whatever the new business may be. As far as some of the smaller businesses, I already mentioned about a couple that are looking into a new program that the state is working on. Anne Marie is working with them already. We're known for being welcoming and open to new business. If we could get some different restaurants here, would be great, but in the meantime, you have to take what there is. But Orange has worked hard, and as old spaces come available, they are being redeveloped. Again, I'll use 7 Brew as the example. That's the perfect example at this moment. Right now, we have 4 buildings, I think, for sale. There's Party City, Taylor Rental, Fox Steel, and what was a consignment store where our headquarters is this year. All available, all different owners, but we have a potential suitor looking at that to take all of that for a project he has. The problem is you have to get all of those individual owners to agree to a deal before he can move forward. But Anne Marie has been having regular conversations with them, both the owner side and the potential purchaser side, for something that could be much better there and clean up a big strip right in the middle of the post road there, right across from Chips and the plaza where Cold Stone is and all that. So we work on this with businesses and developers, realtors, property managers, as much as we can.
3 minutes.
Thanks, Mr. Cohen. I believe that this question is relevant for businesses and it's relevant for residents, right? Is Orange friendly for businesses? Is Orange friendly for its residents? Are we doing everything we can? Because again, households are struggling with the increased cost of everything. So is every business in our community. I'm not placing the blame at them for the struggles to afford the items they sell, to deal with the tariffs that are coming in. It's a challenging business climate right now. That is again why, and I'm going to make it very clear, we're going to double down on economic development support within Town Hall. They can go to all three different organizations, the Chamber, the Orange Economic Development Corporation, and the Town Hall Department, to get an even more support. I believe surely that businesses in this community believe that that will help them excel and thrive in our community and will recruit more businesses and be more friendly. I also want to raise an issue concerning how businesses navigate issues in Town Hall. And that is, again, something we proposed for residents, but it's going to be just as helpful for businesses. I hear pretty regularly from folks when they call Town Hall, they get pushed between different departments, they don't know where the request has gone, and they get confused and frustrated. Businesses are in the same boat. So again, Orange Connect, when we talk about having a 311 see-click-fix system, that's used by residents and it can be used by businesses. You could only imagine the number of things that would stop a customer from coming in your door that Town Hall could come in and help fix very quickly if it was reported through that system. And one more thing I want to mention about business friendliness is that there are an incredible number of industries in our region who are expanding and growing right now. For a number of years, I served on the board of directors of the New Haven Innovation Collaborative, worked with those bio and medical industries in our region. I do not think that our community has been aggressively enough engaging with them. I think we've been reactive and not proactive. And I think that together, between the town and the two nonprofit business organizations in town, we've got to be more aggressively touring them through Orange and showing them what Orange looks like in 2025, because it's an incredible place to start a business, an incredible place to expand a business, and I'm looking forward to doing that work.
Okay, at this point, Jim, would you like to redirect? You don't have to.
Let it go.
Okay, then we'll move on.
I don't know. I didn't try.
Okay,
Hello.
I just want to make sure. No, you're loud like me, so it makes no difference. Okay.
People online can't hear you.
Oh.
Yeah. So, okay, then, since there is no redirect, because you can't redirect yourself, we are going to now move on to the next category, which is public engagement and quality of life. It's pretty much a very broad category, so you're going to get a lot of diverse questions throughout the evening on this as well, okay? And this question will go to Dan first. You get 3 minutes, followed by Jim. The question is, are there ways that Town Hall can better engage and communicate with business and residents? If so, please elaborate on the types of resources, new practices that you wish to continue to implement. What is your plan or your current plan to encourage people from different backgrounds and beliefs to work together? And the second half of that question was something that came from several folks, so it's kind of a consolidated question of both public and other.
It's a great question, Mr. Goen, and thanks for framing it, and whoever asked it, thank you for asking it. So I'm a parent in our town, and I work full-time. Both my wife and I work full-time. We are busier than ever, and I know I'm not alone in making that claim. This is a busy time in 2025, and there's a lot coming at us every day. And our town hall has got to serve its residents, not the other way around. Too often, I hear stories from folks about how they needed something done from town hall. They tried to reach out and get help, and they were met with a black hole. They didn't know what came next. They got sent to a different department, and the result, many times, is they post on social media, and they say, help, I don't know what to do. And that's a decent enough solution, but I believe in 2025, our town hall could modernize and do much better than that. So again, I'm talking about it one more time because the solution we're proposing is a common solution in many communities, including small towns like ours, to create Orange Connect, which is a see-click-fix-like system. It is going to streamline our operations in Town Hall. It's going to make sure Town Hall respects your time. You do not have time to waste, nor do our staff in Town Hall, and we're going to work harder than ever to get that system up and running so we streamline our services and help you faster. Secondly, kind of dipping back to a previous conversation, 10% of Orange is Asian. That's in the latest census, 10%. And if you have kids in our schools, I think you see that when you go to class, when you help out in the classroom. So one thing I've been thinking about a lot in the campaign trail, because I've met a lot of folks at their doors, we've got to start translating many more of our town materials into English, Chinese, and Japanese. There are many residents I've met who could not read the minutes for a meeting because of a language gap. And to your question specifically, Barry, I think there's a very simple solution that we could do as a community. Many communities do this so that they're more inclusive of their actual residents. That's the data right now. And then lastly, this is something I've done throughout my career. So I'll just tell you a quick story. When I was the executive director at Creative Arts Workshop, my office was originally on the second floor down a hallway. No one could find me. And one of the first things I did is I moved my office to the first floor behind the reception desk, so I could see everyone when they came in, and I said hello, and I introduced myself, and I pulled the curtain if I needed to have a meeting and didn't need to be interrupted. But that was a big step to make sure I was available always to everybody. We hosted monthly town hall forums in that organization, so everybody could come together, share their ideas, share their input. It was a community. And we moved to this small town because it's a close-knit community, and I'm committed to making that true in 2025 as well.
Thank you. And you have 3 minutes.
Well, as far as the social media thing goes, we all have seen how that works out. Sometimes great, sometimes not. Most recently was this weekend, somebody upset that there was a dead deer sitting out on the corner of the road. Well, when a deer gets hit on a Friday night or a Saturday during the night or something, that deer is going to sit there until Monday morning. And Monday morning by 6:30, that deer was gone. You're not calling in 2 men at time and a half for double time with 4-hour minimums, so that would be 8 hours each, to pick up a deceased deer. It doesn't happen. On Monday morning, it was picked up and gone expeditiously. This see, click, and fix thing sounds wonderful. But it's another person or something. Somebody's got to read it or direct it in order for it to be done. We have programs already for some of these other things, not see, click, and fix, but we're hearing about people when they're building or remodeling or need a permit or something. Fire Marshal Tim Smith put in a program, Viewpoint, I don't know how many years ago, probably 10 or more years ago now, where any builder, developer, or homeowner, if they're taking out the permit, can go on that site, fill out the data, and all of those departments get that data, and they each have to sign off on it before it can move forward with a permit. We have that already in place. If you have an emergency, who do you call? Whether you're going to have a fire or something you need the police, you're going to call 911. That's how you handle emergencies. They dispatch out of Lambert Road for any of those emergencies, whether it be fire or police emergency or medical emergency. So we have a lot of these systems in place. The school system has their own emergency systems in place. And there are people there that seem to be available even on Saturday and Sunday to take people's calls and parents' concerns over some of that stuff. And it has to be handled. When you as a parent are calling with a problem, with your child may not be able to make it to school or had a problem at school or something, you're going to get one of the chief administrative people to talk to about that. Those are how a small town works, not see, click, fix. You know, I mean, we have more people walk in and out of our doorways that are welcome than you're ever going to find in a city office where they are not letting you in the room. So I think Orange is a pretty welcoming and open community. And while Anne Marie's office isn't in the town hall, it is in a town building. It is in the Clark Building, second floor, with the Chamber of Commerce, where it has been since Bob Sousa started it back in '99. So our departments are in town buildings.
Thank you. Yes, you have a 1-minute redirect.
Thank you. I'll just take the opportunity to answer the elephant in the room question. Again, our town does not have a municipal department for economic development, and that's okay. I'm just proposing we form one. I deeply respect nonprofits in our community, but Ms. Slivey does not work for Mr. Zioli. Ms. Slivey reports to a board of directors. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It does receive a grant from the town. I think that's wonderful. I wish we gave a grant to the Amity Chamber of Commerce too. We don't. And it is important to have nonprofit partners in the community. I have run several of them, but I've always relied on strong leaders in town hall too. Again, for the business community here, we're doubling down on economic development. The status quo is not good enough for our business community anymore.
Okay.
If you just say it enough times, you'll believe it.
Okay. Well, we'll move on then to the next question. And after this question, after this last question, we're then going to move on to the submitted questions. Okay? All right. A tale of two towns. Farming, local small community appeal to raise families versus commercial development and needing to grow the tax base to arguably pay for programs to maintain that quality of life. How do you keep or perhaps change the balance? And Jim, this goes to you first. Of course.
Read that again.
Sure. A tale of two towns.
Please, somebody else will say please, please.
Pretty please. Okay. A tale of two towns, farming and a local small community appeal to raise families versus commercial development and the need to grow the tax base to arguably pay for programs to maintain that quality of life. How do you keep or perhaps change that balance?
It's a little bit fictitious. We have agricultural roots that people like to hang on to and think is really cool as they drive around town, and they may get stuck behind a tractor or go by a farm and see a cow or horse or something like that. But there's really there's multiple properties that have the farm status, but there's really only 6 or 8 of us that are actually farming. From a community of 11,000 acres, 17 and a half square miles, to have about 8 of us actually farming, you're kind of stretching it a little bit when you say we're an agricultural community. Most of you just like the view, which we've worked very hard to protect. However, your commercial development is tough because a lot of that, all of that, needs to be on areas that are situated within our sewer districts, whether you're on all the way down to the Milford side or the other, up on Marsh Hill. You know, many, many years ago, people don't realize it. The Marsh Hill corridor over there was where they put all the Italians and Germans. It used to be called Ragpicker's Hill. All of those people became very wealthy because that then became the commercial industrial land treated by sewers. West Orange was where they put all the Russian and Polish Eastern European immigrants because it was rocky and wet over there. So those people farmed over there. Much of that land is your Broadview subdivisions, Cobblestone, all those beautiful developments over that way. So our town has evolved from those small farming groups into more suburban residential community, and you're not going to put Pfizer in the middle of our farm. There isn't enough good base land there because of hills, wetlands, and rock to do it. Most of the pieces of land that are left that are farming are challenging pieces. We've kept a few good pieces, but it's not conducive to that. So that's why when you have somebody like Mike Frisbee comes along who buys the property on the exit 41 exit ramp for $3.5 million and is putting millions of dollars into it to redevelop that, it's welcome. That's why that little fragment of land that was left from the Salemi family, where they just built that, the company from Georgia just built that new self-store, was welcome. We try to fit these businesses into parcels where they'll fit. We don't have any large parcels left that are conducive to that. You're not going to put a tire plant in the middle of the town of Orange, there's a little bit of flat land down behind the green, you're not gonna do it. You want a tire plant down behind your house.
Thank you, Jim.
So that's what we're dealing with. Thank you.
I got it. Oh, do I get to answer the question?
This is a redirect. You can do whatever you want in that minute if you want to take it.
Oh, I don't get this question.
Oh, you do get this. I'm sorry. I apologize. I goofed. You get the question. Go for it.
Well, I was going to say first things first, Mr. Zioli, I agree, this is a bad question. Because
See, we agree.
you're framing a false choice, but I appreciate you for asking it, because it is something that comes up when I talk to people in our community. When my wife and I bought our house together, we scraped together every single penny we had to be able to afford to live in this exceptional community, which is a mix of open space, farms, houses, so many families, and clearly one of the most valuable commercial stretches between New York and Boston here on our post road. That said, even with the very few pennies we had when we first moved here, one of the first things we did was we built a chicken coop. And we raised chickens and ducks in our yard. That's not embarrassing, honey. Because we loved the agricultural history in our community. It's something we wanted for our family. Now, why I think it's a false choice is because to have an exceptional community like this requires revenue. It absolutely requires revenue. Costs are rising rapidly beneath our feet right now. You could ask anybody who runs finance or is involved in finance about that. You could ask every parent about how costs are going up. Those don't just hit you. They hit town hall budgets and school budgets as well. And so that's why it's so critical that we maximize, as Mr. Zioli said, every single parcel we have on the Post Road and Edison Road has to be put to its highest and best use. And yes, I know we do not control the properties. However, we have to bring in the best and most important projects we can bring into our community. That's the best way we can do that. Secondly, I just want to bring up a concern I have heard from some other residents in town. Part of the reason we have so few technical farms is because our town has some of the most restrictive zoning regulations to have a farm. Thank you. And I didn't know about that, I'll admit. But I listen, I take the concerns I hear from residents seriously, and I do my homework. I read the zoning law. I absolutely understand what I've been hearing from folks in town who want to start small farms or small agricultural industries in their property. I'm supportive of that. I will work with our zoning commission to see what we can do about that. And then again, most importantly, the issue that we're facing in our town is not a spending issue. We have an $86 million budget and we're doing an exceptional job at holding down spending. The investments we make right now over the next 2 years are really critical. I believe that. If we want to make sure our future is as strong as our past, we've got to try some new things. I'm comfortable trying new things. I've done it before. I'm looking forward to working with you to do that.
Thank you. Unless there's a need for a redirect, I'd like to move on to some of the submitted questions. And as I said, the questions that were asked thus far were largely also, we try to bring in a lot of those submitted questions into, so a lot of these things that are being asked have also been asked, but these are rarely additional questions. Is there any redirection that you have on this last one?
No.
Okay, then we're going to move forward to pretty much the second part. This second part, we did get a lot of questions in it. We really had to do a lot of consolidation, so there was no redundancy and so forth. And we worked very hard to make sure that all the questions, at least when they gave us a list of questions, that at least we answered one of the many questions that made an individual submitted. So there was effort put into this. We also had to edit for explicitity. You know what I'm saying, okay? Inappropriate language, unsubstantiated claims, hyperbola, and slander. And both candidates will have the opportunity to respond up to 2 minutes in the segment with a 1-minute rebuttal. Again, we will do the redirects as necessary, okay? So with that, I hope you like this question better. This question now goes to Dan first. I'm catching on.
I know.
Okay.
Good job, Barry.
Oh, you know, it's we're there. People move to Orange for the schools. So how has leadership, or how have you as a leader support strong schools while being smart with our budget?
This is a great question. That's, again, critically important to me. I'm a parent with a middle schooler. who's at Amity, and an elementary schooler at Racebrook. And as a former educator, I absolutely understand the challenges facing our schools. I understand the challenges facing our young people. So it is important. We have excellent schools. I actually think we need to have even the best schools in the state if we can have it, because that will continue to make sure that we attract families to our community year after year. And for folks who do not have kids in the schools or are retired right now, I just want to make sure you understand the strength of our schools is also what buoys our property values. It's so important that even if your kids have graduated and are doing great things in their life, that we continue to invest in what needs to happen from a modern perspective with our schools. So again, this might sound redundant, but it's so important to reiterate. We've always, for these last 10 or so years, been relying on homeowners to pay for increased costs in our town budget. When you bring commercial development into our community, when you could pay for more projects than we're currently doing with outside grant dollars, that frees up money to go directly to the things that matter to our community. Based on what I've heard over the number of years, schools are one of the number one things that brings families to Orange and continues to matter to our community. But let me say one more thing about schools that's extremely important. There is no place on any of our school boards for any type of party, label, politics. Our schools are for learning. Our school boards are so that everyone has a voice at the table. I know that the first selectman does not run the schools. I'm very aware of how the structure works, but I will stand firmly in my values about what our kids need and our community needs with excellent schools for the future.
Jim, you have 2 minutes.
He's right. The first selectman doesn't run the schools. The budget is formulated by the Board of Finance in collaboration with all departments and the boards of education of both Amity and Orange Elementary. Currently, the Orange Elementary school system has about 1,273 children in that school system within their schools. And a lot of those children come from immigrant families, and I don't think any of you realize how many different dialects and programs we provide for children and their families. They are able to take the material home so the whole family has the ability to learn English for communication. We have some specialists that also speak some of the foreign languages. Some of them are beyond our capability, but last I knew, I think we had 37 or 47 different learning programs, different language learning programs within the elementary school system, not the Amity system. That is a huge challenge for our teachers, the paras, the staff, right down to the lunch ladies and custodians. Because if you have a child that doesn't quite understand, and there's a problem, they got to solve it. But what you also have to remember, I've heard this $86 million budget number multiple times, is that 62 to 64, and it fluctuates a little bit, percent of that budget goes to education. The Amity budget is done on a divided basis on the head count done each October 1st. That count was just done, but they won't let it out until after their board is made aware of where the percentages turn out. But I did see a mailer out there, and I've supported the Orange Elementary budgets repeatedly, and the Board of Finance has also. The Vice Chair is sitting to my left, your right, and he can, if anybody has any questions, you can ask. He has supported the elementary budget 100%. The Amity budget, there's data out there that says the Republican members from Orange voted against it. But what it doesn't say is Amity had a $2.3 million surplus. They had $1.5 million in debt service, a mortgage that was no longer going to be there. They came in with that same budget number plus an increase. So that was $3.8 million they gained before they added a percentage increase to it. That's why the Republican members voted no on that budget. Not that they were against education. Amity already had $3.8 million extra dollars before they opened the door.
Thank you, Jim.
Done.
In all fairness, I don't like to stop people in mid-sentence or what have you, so I gave Jim a little bit more time. And so I'm going to give you an opportunity if you want to do a 1-minute redirect, and then we're going to move on, if that's okay.
Yep, I'll stay on the topic. The Amity budget last year was one of the smallest budget increases in the state of Connecticut. I'm going to say that one more time. The Amity budget increase last year was one of the smallest in the state of Connecticut. And you know how much costs have gone up for you. So I thank every member of the Amity Board of Education who voted for this budget, because they clearly did very hard work to make sure that they were able to meet this moment and still educate our kids in this exceptional school that we all love. You can give them a round of applause for that. That's not easy work. Secondly, over the last several years, the state of Connecticut has had so many grants going to so many schools across the state for HVAC improvements. That's heating, air conditioning, infrastructure upgrades. Orange received none of them. And they went to small towns just like it went to cities. I've looked at the list. Every time those HVAC grants came out, Orange received none of them. And our schools are not air conditioned. And then lastly, I just want to broaden it a little bit if I have the time. I do. Yep. One of the things I've done throughout my career is I was a teacher originally, but I also worked within organizations that had educational programs. Our schools are just the beginning of what our kids need. And so I just want to take a minute and thank all of the groups in town that work with kids, whether it's the soccer groups, the baseball groups, the theater groups. Everything about our community is family-centered, and I want to keep it that way and even expand on that.
Thank you. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to do 2 more questions and then closing comments so we can get you out here at a relative right time, okay? Okay. The next question, I'm going to lose myself, my place in here. This next question goes first to Mr. Fitzmaurice. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mr. Ziola. Okay. Ooh, okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Mr. Ziola. This is going to read it the way I got it. What is the best future use of 16 acres of land at Fred Wolf Park currently used for farming? That's the question. The best future use.
The current use is farming, and I believe in the future plan that is being done by B&L, they have some other fields. There's a roadway, another driveway going through part of that in a proposal, and we'll see how that goes with time. I mean, there's a lot there that we have to do already. My first proposal was going to be, when they stopped me from working over there on that, was a roadway into the lacrosse fields out and around the far side to alleviate some of the traffic, but then we had to do a study and spend a lot of money on that, so they're doing the same thing that I was going to do, except I would clear all the land on the left side of that roadway that goes down to Oak View, all the way over to what that roadway would be that goes to the lacrosse area. It'll give you approximately another 6 acres for future field use or court use. And the roadway there, once it was cleared, is going to go up alongside of lacrosse, and eventually it will go all the way around. But at this point, we're waiting and seeing.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is another example where if we stay the course, we're going to throw that master plan out the window in a couple of weeks when it comes out, because that's what's happened time and time again in our community about this parcel of land. What I believe and what I've heard from folks is that they would love to see a recreational facility right there in the center of town that everyone can enjoy. Yes, sports fields for kids, but walking trails for retirees, pickleball courts for folks who'd like to see it. I see your face, yes. This is, like most towns, should be a gem of a recreational facility that we all benefit from. But like I said, this is the second master plan in a couple of decades that we've done, and we've made no progress. And I've been very involved and went to all the community meetings about this that I was able to. So I want to explain something really important with the time I have. There are several phases of this project. The company that we've hired is doing an incredible job, and they are not advising us to bite the whole apple off at once. They're saying go step by step. They're very carefully explaining to us what projects could be funded by the state. Get those projects shovel ready as soon as you can, because the state funding is out there to do phase 2. And then there's phase 3 and phase 4. The very last phase, to address your question directly, Mr. Cohen, are those fields. Let's focus on phase 1 to 4. I'm very committed to getting shovels in the ground on this project because we've all waited for too long to have a park like Fred Wolf Park that is the center of our community, and it's going to benefit so many residents, young and retired alike. I'm looking forward to getting that started with y'all.
Is it redirect? 1 minute?
Only that the first plan that was done, since I've been involved, was actually done before I was first selectman, I think. Was that the one you were in? I think so. The problem with that was the roadway that was supposed to become the main way in and out at Peck Lane and Pine Tree was determined again by our friend Paula Kohlberg that unless we were going to build, I don't know, 3 or 5 bridges to span wetlands along there, it couldn't be done. And that was unfortunate, but the engineering company that did that plan should have recognized that that was not feasible. It got a lot of people's ire up that thought that they were going to be in that vicinity and have, you know, increased traffic there. And no matter what we do, there's increased traffic because it's bounded all the way around by housing. But there were reasons like that, and that's the same reason why where the playground ended up, it couldn't go in another direction because all beyond that stone wall, again, this the same stone wall that runs on the other side where soccer parking is all wetlands in there. So we're kind of bounded by multiple wetlands around it that we also have to be careful of. There's also one where they want to come in off of Meeting House Lane through that cornfield on the left-hand side. We have another 5 or 7 acres there, but it's mostly a big wetland area, so there's distances and setbacks we have to deal with, so there's a lot there. I don't know what Dan's experience is with shovel
Thank you.
ready in the ground though.
Did you, 1 minute?
Yes, please. Thank you for the history lesson, Mr. Zioli. I've been told many times in my career that something needs to be done. We've never been able to do it, and I don't think anybody could figure it out. I am not afraid to tackle challenges head on. No excuses, no finger pointing. If this is something our community wants, which having been through this master plan process, I am confident this is something our community wants, it is my job to get it done. That's why you hire a first selectman, to get things done that the residents want. Full stop.
And the last question, which is a conglomeration of a lot of people's similar questions that I put together, before we get to the closing remarks. Here we go. In today's often combative political environment, as witnessed in Washington, D.C. and making its way to Hartford, some have noted the trickle effect to local towns and cities, including Orange. Do you agree? And a related question, if anything, what do you admire about your opponent?
So funny about it. I'd like to digest that one a little bit.
We'd like to ask for a different question, Mr. Cohen.
You never like my questions. Okay, I don't even know who goes first on this one, but okay, here we go, one more time. In today's often combative political environment, as witnessed in Washington, D.C., and making its way to Hartford, some have noted the trickle-down effect to local towns and cities, including Orange. Do you agree? And a related question, if anything, what do you admire about your opponent? And this one I do think goes
I'll just take it.
to you first. That's 2 minutes.
Like I said from the beginning, I greatly value Mr. Zioli's commitment to our community. More than 20 years is an incredible legacy. That's different than your other question, Mr. Cohen. In my career, whether it's working in schools, working for nonprofits, or working with state elected leaders, I have held myself to a high standard of nonpartisanship. I have never picked sides when it comes to my work life. I know I'm running as a Democrat, but in my career, I work with everybody. It doesn't matter if there's a political affiliation. In fact, what the best work I do right now at United Way of Connecticut is work where I could bring Democrats and Republicans together to solve a problem. It does feel more partisan than ever. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not pretending that's not the case. But I want you to know that as your leader in Town Hall, I will never take your political affiliation into account. I will listen and serve everyone respectfully. Doesn't matter if you vote for me. Doesn't matter if you're registered with a political party at all. That is so important in a small town like ours. In fact, I think we should do even more to make sure we can come together. That is what we've done in this campaign. We've hosted town hall forums that were family friendly. There's a coloring table in the back. We're serving ice cream. We're asking questions. We're sharing ideas. We're listening to each other. That's the small town that my wife and I moved to, and that's the small town I want many families for many generations to live in. I do believe there's a lot we could do through our town hall, through our local government, that actually solves for some of the bickering and partisanship we see in Hartford and the bickering and partisanship we see in Washington, D.C. I won't stand for that as your next first selectman any day.
And Jim, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, I thought I got 3. I think that Dan throwing his hat into the ring, being relatively new to town, is very admirable. Yeah. And it doesn't matter. I said it's admirable. If that's unfortunate, I'm sorry you don't agree with that. But Dan, congratulations on stepping up and running for the job. I think that's terrific. I really do. As far as the bickering and all, that has gotten worse and worse. They're right, all the way from Washington to Hartford to Orange. We're mostly dictated here by Hartford, however. And it's really unfortunate that some of the things that we would like to see done don't always come to the communities that don't have the right connect or the right pull. And that has been tried a couple times. I mean, I asked for a handicap accessible walkway over at the Racebrook track. It's a paved walkway that I've spoken with one of our state representatives and state senators, and so far it's crickets, and that handicap walkway over at Racebrook track is still a falling apart asphalt path, and I've asked 2 different individuals for help on that. But then you'll see some other communities that maybe are on the right side get something, a walkway or a boardwalk or something else that could help them. I think that there's rules, and sometimes we have trouble understanding the rules. We're going to go full speed ahead, and some of those rules have festered just recently. As far as putting out signs. Well, the signs fall under the temporary sign guideline of zoning, which is a 30-day window, according to Jack. And then the absentee ballot problem that was happening at the fair, handing out absentee ballots.
No one's handing out ballots. No one's handing out ballots.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me.
But it was
Point of order.
nonetheless, while the 2 of you jump on me for it. But
We want to be factual. and
Point of
accurate.
order, please,
But
for the audience.
unfortunately, it started much sooner than that, because people are coming into town hall with envelopes with a letter dated mid-July, signed by one party, and the ballot application was sent out. So don't shake your head no, madam. So unfortunately, these are the things that cause the challenges that we have to deal with sometime. But I think that all in all, the bulk of the Orange, Connecticut population are a happy, congenial, get-along group. I think that the fair and the carnival just proved that. You have Funtober coming up, being put on by Community Services.
Thank you, Jim.
I think that those are all things that bring this community together, not apart.
We will be not doing a redirect on that last questions, but what I would like to do is, we're now going to go to closing comments where each candidate is going to be given 4 minutes. And because Mr. Fitzmaurice gave the opening statement second, Mr. Fitzmaurice, you're going to give the closing statement first. No?
Yes.
Oh,
Correct.
yeah. You were the second.
I just forgot, thank you. Once again, I just want to thank Barry and the Chamber of Commerce. Give him a round of applause for hosting this meeting. And again, this is a standing room only crowd if you're watching it on YouTube, so I so appreciate you took the time out of your busy schedules to be here. It's so important that we share ideas together and listen to each other. I hope I've made it clear that I'm honored and really very excited to serve and lead our town forward as your next first selectman. From a business perspective, in some respects, this is like a job interview. You have 2 applicants to serve you full-time as your next first selectman. And I hope that you understand more about my career, more about my experience, and more about how I am known for delivering results. I'm committed to doing that in town. Because for me, it's actually not a job interview. I am not doing this for any personal gain. In fact, I really love my job right now, for the record, to my colleagues who are watching at home. This is the community where we're raising our family. This is the community where my daughter was born. This is the community that I grew up in. To be very clear, I swam on the swim team many days a week in the community center here. I had so many of my closest friends who lived in Orange. Orange is a special place to me. This is not just a job interview for me. This is very important that we have a community that is not practicing what we did in 2005, but is moving forward to 2025. Here's my promise that I'm going to make to every single one of you, whether you vote for me or whether you don't. I will lead always with my values. That's about openness, accountability, listening to everyone's ideas and concerns and taking them seriously. I hope you saw some of my values witnessed tonight on this stage. I tried to show you a little bit of what that means. I've tried to show you a little bit about what that means during the campaign, when we walk around every neighborhood and have conversations with people at their doors, when I pick up the phone when you call or text you back, or write an elongated Facebook post to help explain something so you understand what I'm proposing and why it matters to me. And again, tonight, if there's anything you wish I'd said more about, or you have questions about, I'm going to continue to be available to you. My phone number is 203-710-2966. I would be happy to continue this conversation with you tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day. I think that's what you should expect from the person you expect to lead your town moving forward. And again, I'm not running to change what makes Orange special. We chose Orange because it's such a special place, such a close-knit community where everybody looks out for each other and takes care of each other. But I am running to make sure that our future is even stronger than our past. And if you believe in that as well, I ask for your vote and I thank you for it.
And Mr. Zioli.
I too, Barry, would like to thank you and the Chamber for putting this together. You and your team have done a great job. I think the University of New Haven with this beautiful facility is quite a bonus. Many here in this room tonight probably have never been in this building. It is a beautiful building. It's a spectacular building, really. It was built originally by Asgrow Seed, and then it changed hands several times, and then to Harvey Hubble, who then sold it to the University of New Haven. I value the town of Orange more than any of you could realize. In my 66 years of living only in the town of Orange, I have worked here, lived here, played here, all the way through the sports programs and different boards, commissions, committees. My time is 20 years on the Board of First Selectmen, 6 years on the Board of Selectmen, and many other boards and commissions that I've served on. Helps to make you grow in attending meetings. Sometimes you just want to poke your eye out when you're sitting at those Board of Finance meetings or something. But you need to understand what is going on. Sometimes there's hardships. We had the chief of the fire department is here tonight. We had some very hard decisions to make and some knockdown, drag out to make sure that the Orange Volunteer Fire Association is with us, made it to their 100th anniversary, and they're going to make it for their next 100th anniversary. That's a volunteer department, and we are the envy of so many communities around here that spend millions of dollars on this. Ask Mitch. Mitch will tell you, because he put in a paid department in Guilford since he's been there, and it's $12 million now or something, maybe way more than that, I don't know, just for staffing. But the town of Orange is a place that you need to know, you need to understand. You may have experience in some things, but you need to serve to understand a little bit better what's so needed in this community. And I feel I have those attributes. I continue to value this town, and I plan on staying here for hopefully a long time more. So I ask for your support. And with that, I'd like to thank John Carangelo, Bill Kraut, and Judy Smith, who are running for my Board of Selectmen with me. Ajit Jain, Joe Nuzzo are running for the Board of Finance with me. Jeff Kapp, Ronette James, Tatiana Messina Mullen, Amanda Zapatka, and Christian Young and Megan Rebuse are running for my 2 boards of education, whether Orange Elementary or the Amity Board. And of course, the ever-powerful Mary Shaw, our counselor. The value of a community, that's it right there. Those 2 ladies sitting right there, and one that's not here, are the ones that painted those 4 cows, the ladies of the 4 seasons. They did that as part of their community. That's being part of the community. Tom Hurley, our tax collector, is right here. And then we have Kevin Cornell and Jay McGuire and Ozzie Parenti for zoning. And Jody Damon and Mike Donadeo and Gary Palermo and Jeff Vargo are our constables. This is a team. It's a team effort, and they all value the town of Orange like I do. So I ask for your support for me and all of those people, and Orange will keep running in the straight-on, conservative manner that we prefer to live here in Orange. Thank you very much.
I'm just going to close with some very brief comments because we're actually pretty close on time. I did say in the beginning of the program how blessed we are to really have the University of New Haven be a good partner to the Chamber, and without working so closely with them, and it's been respectful, it's been delightful, and it's been essential to the Chamber. The person that really gave to himself to really make things happen for the Chamber to allow us to have the debate tonight is the Dean of the School of Business for the University of New Haven, Brian Kench. Thank you. And on behalf of the Board of Directors, we changed our business model, and part of the business model is always believing and knowing that community is the way that our businesses are going to thrive and grow and maintain in Orange and throughout the Amity Chamber. And it is a blessing to be part of this chamber. It is a blessing that we have such a great board of directors. I know that Ted Novick, who's the president, is here somewhere. Hi Ted, is there. And I just can't thank all of them enough because we are thriving, we are striving, and don't forget the number of ribbon cuttings, grand openings, the coupons on your desk. We're just so proud of our business, we're so proud of our nonprofits, and we're so proud of the collaboration and partnership that we have with all of them, including the town and including other chambers throughout the district. So thank you, drive safely, God bless, good night.